The Chicano Movement, an Introduction. As with the African American community, the 1960s, 1970s is remembered as a period of great change, a time when people of color stood up in control of their communities and challenged a racist and oppressive system that barred them from a dignified livelihood. It will be important for you to revisit our lecture on immigration, where we discuss the push and pull factors of migration and the cycle of racial conflict. This analysis also applies to the Mexican and Mexican American community in the United States, both historically and in the present. The farm workers movement played a pivotal role in inspiring the Chicano movement. Cesar Chavez disagreed with the nationalist approach of the younger generation in struggling for civil rights. Many young Chicanos, or Mexican Americans, that gained their organizing skills with the farm workers movement returned to the urban barrios and began addressing a wide range of issues, including education, police brutality, housing rights, Vietnam War, and immigration reform. One of the most pressing issues in every Mexican and Mexican American community throughout California and the Southwest was the racist public school systems. A quote taken from Rudy Acuña: over 50% of the Chicano high school community was forced to drop out of school either through expulsion and transfers to other schools or simply because they had not been taught to read and thus failed their courses. Chicano schools were crowded and run down compared to Anglo and black schools of the district. Many teachers openly discriminated against Chicanos, and students wanted racist teachers removed. The curriculum was designed to obscure the Chicanos' culture and to condition students to be content with low-skilled jobs. Students demanded more Chicano teachers and administrators. Thus, reforming education, especially through 12 education, was at the heart of the Chicano movement. While there were many organizations around the country tackling this issue, one of the most recognized is the Association of Mexican American Educators. This organization, like many others, challenged the inferior education system in their communities. They demanded an increase in resources, bilingual education, training and recruiting of minority faculty, and curriculum included Mexican history and the contributions of Chicanos. Equally influential were the Brown Berets. They were one of the most militant organizations of this time period. Many of them were students, while others were street youth and many ex-gang members who redirected their energies towards barrio politics. They organized around issues of food, employment, and housing. But their most important contribution was in the struggle for education. They spotlighted the inferior education that Chicanos and Mexicans received in public schools. The Brown Berets organized blowouts in 1968 where over 7,000 high school and college students walked out of their schools. This publicized event inspired Chicanos and Mexicans in other southwestern states, and students organized their own blowouts that lasted for several months. The 1968 ethnic studies strike. At the college and university levels, Mexican and Mexican American students and professors participated in the Third World Liberation Front in 1968. This was a coalition of Mexican and Mexican Americans, Central Americans, African Americans, Vietnamese, Koreans, Chinese, Japanese, and Filipinos. They fought for an ethnic studies department at San Francisco State University and UC Berkeley. Because the traditional academic fields either omitted the history and experiences of people of color in the U.S. or applied a Eurocentric approach, students and professors argued for a separate and independent ethnic studies college where students could learn their own histories, religions, philosophies, literature, etc., in a sense of supportive environment. They also fought for an increase in hiring non-white professors in administration and admission and retention programs for minority students that included academic and financial assistance. At the heart of the Chicano movement was Chicano cultural nationalism. It was an idea of a nation within a nation. Aztlan, the mythical homeland of Chicanos, located in the southwestern part of the United States, a territory that once belonged to Mexico before the Mexican-American War. Cultural nationalism was expressed through community organizing, militant action, and cultural expression. Theater, public muralism, poetry, music, and dance contributed to a cultural renaissance that embraced indigenous roots, a mestizo identity, and it underlined the trials and tribulations of the community and celebrated the victories of the movement. The following slides have no audio narration, but are simply photographs and images of Chicano, the Chicano movement through cultural expression.